Hi, this is Elena, and today's topic is about duality. Duality and how it propels us forward when it comes to inner reflection, when it comes to this whole game of experience, because we are the source experiencing itself. So we are experiencing ourselves, our individuality. We are also experiencing each other, and we experience ourselves through the connections with others. So it's a whole set of experiences we are having in so many different ways. And duality is one of these ways. Duality. You can find duality in the spiritual sense of good and evil, hope and feeling exactly the opposite of that. You can find duality in what we say as twin flames. You can find duality in every aspect of the life, in every sense and every way within and outside of us. We have realized that duality is part of the 3D world. And you will say, why do I do this video now? Why do I comment on that now that we are more in the 5D or ascending in the 5D and above? And what is the point of that? Because let me tell you that even in the 5D, where we find another perspective, apart from the duality of life, and we keep exploring higher perspectives, and we anchor ourselves, we stabilize ourselves in a higher perspective of viewing life, we are still exploring duality. And the most important of all of these messages of today's topic has to do with the duality that we experience within ourselves and how that many challenges show up through that duality. The challenges we have to go through, we have to break through actually, have to do with this duality. For example, if your nature is to be fully organized in your space, in your mind, in your thoughts, that logical sense of things, one of the challenges will be how to feel okay and be okay in chaos. Because the main ability of someone who knows how to organize stuff is to get into the chaos, literally and metaphorically, and organize stuff and break down all the parameters, all the things, and reorganize, because this is actually what the duality is. Chaos has a different kind of organized order, which doesn't feel like organized, but it has an order, and we get to organize everything and put them in a specific way that we call order for our logical brains. So if you are a person who loves organization and putting things into bullets, for example, okay, mentally the chaos is translated into organizing things in bullets. For example, this is point A, point B, point C, D, and so on and so forth. So if we are used to doing that in order to make sense of life, of self, of others, the challenge will be how to be okay, not get triggered, not get lost, not feel that something is completely off when we don't have that kind of organization within ourselves or our thoughts or our feelings. So the more you explore yourself in the spectrum of duality, of different things, of a variety of things, about how you feel about this variety of things, the more you are exploring yourself, the more you get to understand yourself, and you can't just dismiss, I don't like this, just because. Usually that is not exploration of duality, that is me stating something to myself that this doesn't work, and because I will state it and because I will try to ignore it or pass it by or push it away, I will be called again and again to actually explore it, of how it feels to me and why. The explorations go with that why, and it's not a reasoning with a logical outcome of why I don't prefer that or why I don't like that. It's also about understanding myself of why does this feel a bit uncomfortable or off for me, and familiarizing myself with everything that feels uncomfortable and out of my usual ways of doing things. When you get fully comfortable with the things that make you uncomfortable, and of course in the process we are learning what we don't tolerate and what we don't accept or what we don't find as normal, and that is enough, just that realization is enough, then you get into a space of truly exploring from a different point of view. I have explored everything that feels good, everything that doesn't feel good. Both of these ways I have explored already. I have went into depths of that, why it feels good, how it makes me feel, what else is that I would like to experience with that makes me feel good. Then I go and familiarize myself with all the frequencies of the things that don't feel good and why. What is my truth that is connected with that. And then I come back and I elevate myself without even trying, without putting an effort in, to find another perspective, another layer of exploring duality within self. And you will tell me now, I know that this won't work for me. Why should I try it? Why should I give it an effort? Why should I even bother with that? And I will be, yeah, you are right. That is what I thought myself too. And some of the things, here's the catch. Some of the things we indeed have to explore them, because it makes it solid within ourselves that this is why this doesn't work for me. So I know my truth. And I don't have to prove it to anyone. I don't have to prove it to myself that I don't like that. I have explored it. I have explored it fully. I know why exactly it doesn't work for me. So far, this is another parameter we can add, that so far this hasn't worked for me. And I'm not willing to give it more time, more effort, more energy. At least not when all the parameters are still the same. Okay? And I know my no's clearly. I know my yeses clearly. I know what is my direction. So I have excluded a couple of things through my explorations, clearly and in a very solid way. Now, when I will be called to explore the next layer, and some of the things will be similar, I will still have the advantage that I explored those things that feel similar energetically. So I will have a head start of where do I start exploring at this layer. Things have been already explored in some ways, so I know now my new direction or the minor details that may have changed in something, so now I can explore it in the way that will make sense to me. I know I'm talking a bit generally, but I do believe it hits home in many ways. Whatever you are exploring yourself, in whatever way you are exploring yourself, and whatever you may be exploring lately, this always fits in and explains why some experiences. You know that many people say that when we cross, we actually experience life from the other side, literally and metaphorically. We experience how our connections were, not from our own perspective, but from others' perspective. My point is, with mentioning this, why not do it now? Why not get into that space of exploring yourself from your position and the other's position as well? So you can understand and find duality in that way, that something that probably has made you feel that you're suppressing yourself, and then you explode And then you get into a space of claiming your truth with those around you. How do they feel when you do that? When you have suppressed yourself, they have a different opinion of who you are, or they perceive you differently. When you are exploding because there's no way out, there's no other way to get that energy out, you get into a space of viewing yourself, how you have suppressed a lot of things, and then you get to see how others respond as well, how they may have felt being in the dark before and now they find this peculiar, this kind of reaction, like this doesn't make sense because for so long you were okay with this and now you're not, kind of thing. So it is your job, in a sense, to actually make yourself fully understood to yourself and others, and get into a space of exploring yourself through the duality of different things. Even, for example, myself, what I'm experiencing and exploring lately has to do with stereotypes. Feminine, masculine stereotypes, society stereotypes that we have to fit in, what our families, our society wants us to fit in as stereotypes so we can feel we are fitting in. Newer generations break through that easier than us. They don't go along and play along. We are in the in-between generation that has to ground themselves in something completely different from what we have experienced so far. And that's okay. It is our purpose, if it makes sense. We are breaking through stereotypes of how a family should be, of how we enjoy partnership, of how we enjoy creating our own personal lives, our business lives, working lives. How do we prefer to work and why? And how do we prefer to create an income, or how to be ourselves through our working life expression, which is something completely different from the previous generations, what the previous generations did in many ways. And the truth in all of these things has to do with the black and white, the duality. It's not that or this, it's something else. This is what stereotypes are. We are trying to fit in a role that doesn't fit in with us, and we can't break through that because it is a very solid energy, a very solid pattern that keeps repeating itself. So you can't actually get into that space and make changes in a way that works for you. So you have to create a new pattern for yourself, a new way of being and living. And this comes down again to duality. So it's up to you how you want to experience life, and experiencing life through duality, understanding this and that I have the option to create something else, something different, or tap into a higher perspective so I can create something different from what others have created so far. And it's okay that I don't fit in these stereotypes or in these ways of thinking or in these ways of being. You give yourself a push forward that is extremely beneficial from the perspective that you're being true to yourself. You know why black doesn't work, you know why white doesn't work in the way it is perceived so far at least, and you find your middle path, you create your middle path, which actually it's not a creation that you do now, it is something that you have already created. It is what you are here to experience. So through that way of thinking, through quantum field, you are getting into a space of understanding that what you want to experience, what makes sense for you to experience, is already here. You only have to see it and make the choice of it. This is it. This is it. It is so simple. This is why working through duality, it helps you go faster in your soul's evolution, in your life's path, because you see that this doesn't work, that doesn't work, and why. So you give to yourself more freedom to explore what works for you. instead of trying to make something work by changing a few parameters. It doesn't work. It won't work. We are compromising ourselves in many ways. This is what it feels like to dim your own light. You actually get into a space of, I can make this work, I can make this work. And of course, in the same way, you are exploring everything that doesn't work. Because it won't work. It's not about changing a few parameters that will help you find your own path and get into that space of claiming that. So get that into your mind as a way of understanding yourself, because it is extremely liberating and freeing to know that you are here to explore something different through what doesn't work, so you can get to what works. And the more you are experiencing what doesn't work, the faster you get to what works. So all you have to do is just realize this. And believe me, even realizing this line will be freeing in so many ways. If it isn't already, if you don't feel it already, you are getting into a space of liberating yourself and stepping into your divine blueprint and breaking down everything that makes sense to you in the way that makes sense to you, without even feeling that you are a misfit, that you're not doing something right, that there's something wrong with you, that things haven't worked so far, because none of these things are true. This used to be, at least, our way of interpreting how we don't fit with others, we don't fit in with others, or why things don't work for us. So there must be something wrong with me. No, there's nothing wrong with you. On the contrary, you're getting into a space of finding all the things that work for you, because all these things that haven't worked so far, believe me, they probably haven't worked even for others, but they weren't in a space of acknowledging that. They were just dimming their own lights. They were just trying to make themselves fit in. And if they actually consciously knew that, it would be a huge problem. Let me say just that. The realization that I'm trying to make myself fit in, and I don't fit in, I don't belong, and I don't like, and there must be something wrong with me, makes you feel completely off in many ways, which leads later on into mental health issues, into health issues in overall. And this is what we are breaking free from. We don't have to fit in anywhere. You have to create the way that makes you feel that you fit in, because this is what we were meant to be doing for years now. And getting out of the box, that way of thinking out of the box, because there's no actual box. I will leave you with that. And that was my today's subject, and I have been exploring this for quite a while, but I needed to get it out there. I don't know who needs to hear this, because it was kind of pressing me to get it out there, to record it. Have a couple of days being poked. You have to record this, I have to record this, you have to record this. I was like, okay, we are down on recording this. And I hope it makes you feel freed from expectations that are an illusion. Because for the most part, they're just that, an illusion. And once we realize that, everything changes, everything shifts, and we get to be more of who we are without holding back. And with that, I want to invite you to leave comments and interact with me. It is a bit lonely when I don't see your comments, when I don't see your interactions with these videos and these transmissions and these messages. It gets a bit lonely, okay? So let me know in the comments how this feels to you, how it makes sense, and if it makes sense. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to post them below. You're not putting me in the spotlight. If something triggers you, if something makes you feel I have a question here, how does that work? Because I love to clarify things. I love to bring more clarity. So if there's something that leaves a question in your mind, please post it below. I love seeing questions. It's one of the things I love doing, answering and bringing more clarity. And if there is a specific topic that is in your mind or you are exploring yourself lately, feel free to ask me to make a video about it via email, through a comment below, whatever works for you. I always check the comments. In whichever dimension I am, some of my guides say, because sometimes I am not extremely grounded. I'm sorry, guys, for this. So they are kind of, in whichever dimension you are, yes, you're gonna see the comment below. In a joke, an inner joke with my team. Now that I'm completely open in that space of energy, and I would love to hear more of you. If you feel drawn, please do connect with me, book a session. There are links everywhere below on the description box, on the description of this channel. Through my website you can find me and we can connect and see how to bring more clarity, some breakthroughs and things that you're working on yourself physically in your life, mentally, emotionally, in every aspect of your being. And see you on the next video. That was quite fun today. I hope you enjoyed too. I know energies lately have been heavy and wonky and a lot of words I can find to express that, but remember to be in your own bubble. Remember to be isolated to the level it is needed for you. Remember to be in your own essence if that is something that rejuvenates your energy. Remember to refocus on the things that make you feel good and optimistic and happy and content. This always helps. Don't forget it's winter for the most part of this world, at least, I think. So, yeah, we are going within, we are going inwardly, and creation is part of this process of going inwardly. So, as always, be true to yourself and be your true self. I love you. Sending a huge hug over there, wherever you are. And remember that everything is energy. Love you.